So this poem, which is currently just called Insomnia, started as 5 individual poems, each called Insomnia. I wrote it while in my MFA program at University of Montana. So it's about 20 years old now. And originally it was its own section. And I tended to write a lot in the wee hours of the morning. That was kind of my go-to time. And as this poem, well, as these 5 poems kind of sat on a shelf, I started thinking about them more, and I realized they really needed to be their own singular poem. So it has 5 different sections. There's 2 that are right, left, justified, like a newspaper. There's others with gaps in them, and that's really partly due to the fact that they existed on their own, sitting on their own, but they all grew out of that same insomniac space that I think is very familiar when you can't shut your brain down and you're just reeling and thinking about things you should have done or things that you should have changed or what you'd like to do, and just obsessing in the middle of the night. Insomnia. 1. The dark in which I know your body and your reaching arm, the dark of what was said into the dim frame of room, our clothes at the foot of the bed, now a lingering pressure between our feet, and the streetlight left knocking at the pole shade, a swinging shaft of stained light too short to be the sun, searing across the wall a slim diagonal, as if your voice could be so light. My back so burned that I rub against the sheet, try to wear my skin and sweep the char away, to confuse my nerves with friction, steady, pin down through the night and remember the low sounds making their slow descent. 2. Are you awake? I have to ask, who will have me now I've given away my plans for nights deep with breaths? How could you forgive how I fill each hour pretending sleep, all the time spent half shut and fluttering, perhaps too drawn to the sunrise, beating there against the window or seeking the bright in light bulbs, holding everything until it burns. 3. Don't think the scraping rain remembers earlier at twilight, the dim ridge above the trail and the dog, vibrant, flushing the impossibly round birds who always cry out like something sharp stuck in the gullet. Don't worry about the sounds that dry skin scrapes along your back, the hair's sharp memory, a mistake you laugh through every time you think about what you could have done, and your hands over your mouth, as if speaking of it were only the beginning of your fears. 4. This is not a proper way. These fists cannot find much comfort when clenched. They stiffen into flowers, grow brittle against the skin, behind the tongue, the throat. With compulsion and some sense of numbers, I roll a lolling ankle and warm the sheets with elliptical friction. But this is not the way to burn through dawn. There is nothing to be afraid of, some might tell you, then point out the bears in the sky. The clouds have moved in, and I cannot count the stars for seeing. 5. Before me, there was still doubt. Does it burn? Does it leave a mark? There is still the proof. What degree of whole is enough? And empty, we empty out. Behind our eyes, mouths open from the black, say, the stars are broken. They snap, curling against fire, held in our laps like strands of hair. Say, some nights are gladly spent.